Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel, joined at the anchor desk by my partner, Clark Kellogg. Next up on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll preview some of the biggest games coming up this week in the NCAA, as well as show you the best action from around the nation. But we begin with a special player who was an easy choice as our player of the week in college basketball.
Right. Set the bar pretty high for what kind of performance it's going to take to win the Player of the Week award. He started the season with a bang.
It was a magical week for him, Clark, no doubt about it. The fans really got behind him as the points kept piling up, and you could see him feed off their energy. He's a cult hero to those people now, and if he has a few more weeks like this one, he'll be one of the all-time legends at that university. Now let's take a look ahead to the games that get top billing on the schedule in the days to come. This should be a terrific matchup. Both these teams are fighting to improve their position among the nation's elite teams, and they're going to have to go through each other to do it.
North Carolina State would be my pick here. They're so strong on the inside that I believe they'll be just too tough to match up with. It would really surprise me if that talent discrepancy on the inside doesn't tell the tale of this game.
But that's not the only item on the schedule that has NCAA fans buzzing. This will be a fantastic battle. This is shaping up to be a prototypical style versus style matchup. Great scorers on one side of the court, great defenders on the other. This is going to be a real showdown.
Georgia Tech should come out on top if I had to make it. Their backcourt is so solid this year, and their guards love to get out and run. That gives them a huge advantage in a game that should be as fast-paced.
There was no shortage of excitement on the court in the past few days, so let's take a look at our games of the week. We have a real surprise to show you. Not too many folks expected the result that came from this one. UNLV defeated Kansas.
No one could have predicted this outcome, Greg. Kansas was sitting pretty as a top-5 team, but you've got to have some doubts about them after a loss like this. UNLV really muscled up down low and was able to convert a lot of chances close to the basket. Whether it was the big men or the guards, they made the most of their opportunities. They established their inside presence from the start and were able to rely on getting their points down low throughout the game.
And two of the sport's traditional powerhouses squared off in a meeting of college basketball royalty. Michigan State outdid Syracuse.
These teams are woven into the fabric of college basketball, and even the casual fan is interested when they're on the court together. Ireland took care of business in this one. His 16 points led the team. He was splashing threes from all over the place, Greg. In transition, in the half-court set, it didn't matter. He was letting them fly and watching them drop.
That'll do it for us here in the studio. For my partner, Clark Kellogg, I'm Greg Gumbel. Thanks for watching. Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel, joined at the anchor desk by my partner, Clark Kellogg. Next up on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll unveil our choices for the top 10 mid-major teams in the NCAA, as well as tell you where the top recruit in the nation is headed. But first, let's take a look at the best games of the past week in college basketball. Let's get started with what turned into an absolutely terrific matchup. Kansas outdid Colorado State.
This was a fabulous game from start to finish, and we had momentum swings back and forth. I'm telling you, this one was a lot of fun to watch. Kirkland was the hero of this one with a terrific performance. His 16 points led all scorers. And in addition to his scoring, he is a tenacious defender. He makes everyone around him a better defender. With this combination of offense and defense, it's easy to see why they won this game.
Although this next contest seemed predictable enough, one of the best teams in the country suffered a severe shock to the system. Tennessee Tech did away with Charlotte.
Yeah, Greg, nobody saw this coming. Charlotte was sitting pretty as a top 5 team, but you've got to have some doubts about them after a loss like this. Tennessee Tech played some absolutely stifling defense. They made the guys on the other side work for every basket, and you can see that reflected in the shooting percentage. They never let up on the defensive end. These teams might not have been evenly matched on paper, but that kind of defense gives you a chance to win every time.
Now let's unveil our list of the top 10 mid-major teams in college hoops. These teams could probably hold their own in any of the power conferences if they had the chance.
I just love talking about the non-power conference team. This is the kind of stuff that gets me fired up for March. A couple of these teams have the potential to be very dangerous in the tournament. No one more so than the team at the top of the list.
Central Michigan is setting themselves apart from the other mid-majors in more ways than one. But what really impresses me is their imposing strength of schedule. They've adopted the anyone, anywhere scheduling philosophy, and it's transformed them into a very dangerous opponent. There's news off the court as well as on at this time of the year, as the top high school players in the country are signing their letters of intent. The signing of one player made an especially big splash. The California Golden Bears are already celebrating, and all this is for a player that is yet to set foot on the university's grounds.
Archibald is the type of player that coaches dream about. Everyone on that campus was buzzing about this signing.
He's a high school legend where he grew up down south.
He's going to be a very important player for this program, Greg. Not only was he a tremendous player in high school, but he was a tremendous winner as well, and he'll bring that mentality with him. When you find a player that has the ability to score and defend as well as he can, with a bulldog attitude to boot, you have a major building block.
That's our show, everyone. For all of us here at the Welcome to the 2K Sports Studios. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with my partner Clark Kellogg. Coming up on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll unveil our choices for the top 10 mid-major teams in the NCAA, as well as tell you who was the best player in the nation over the past 7 days. But first, let's take a look at the best games of the past week in college basketball. Let's get started with what turned into an absolutely terrific matchup. UCLA dismantled LSU.
Well, Greg, this game wasn't decided until that final buzzer sounded. A couple of different bounces one way or the other, and this could have been a totally different outcome. Keller was the hero of this one with a terrific performance. His 14 points led the team. His total was probably helped by the fact that he had a few extra minutes because of the overtime, but it was still an impressive performance nonetheless.
Also on our list of games of the week is a conference face-off in the ACC. Duke overpowered Maryland.
The Duke Blue Devils made the most of their opportunity to move up, and that's going to serve them very well as we get closer to conference tournament time, even if it's just in seeding position. Duke played some absolutely stifling defense. They made the guys on the other side work for every basket, and you can see that reflected in the shooting percentage. They never let up on the defensive end. That really took the pressure off the offense and allowed them to dictate the tempo of the game. To me, that was the biggest factor.
Now it's time to reveal our list of the top 10 mid-major teams in college basketball. You're looking at the future Cinderellas of the NCAA tournament.
Top to bottom, they're certainly not as strong as the list of the top 10 major conference teams, but one or two of them have just as much talent as any of those teams, especially the team in the top spot.
Central Michigan is a team that I'm not sure should even be included on this list because the schedule they've played could have put them in the toughest conference in the country. When you're a mid-major team, yet play that kind of schedule and still have a decent record, that says an awful lot. Now, let's get right to our player of the week. Clark, would you do the honors?
Grove was a floor general of the highest order this week, and when point guards get on a roll like he did, it's basketball at its absolute finest. He was a ton of fun to watch.
He was playing like a house on fire this week, Clark. The performance he gave leads me to believe there might be a few more Player of the Week awards for him in the very near future. He looked like he was enjoying the pressure of carrying his team, so the increased expectations should be no problem for him to handle. That'll do it for us here in the studio. For my partner,